we ask association executives, do you have a compelling, how strong is your value proposition? And fascinating, only 13% of associations say I have a very compelling value proposition. That's really discouraging. If a company said, if 87% of companies said I don't have a strong value proposition, we'd have some big problems economically. I give associations a little bit of a pass on this though, because if the average renewal rate's 80%, people are finding value. Members are finding value. If it's a company or an individual, they're finding value with the association. I think the disconnect often is the association hasn't fully understood what value they're delivering.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Gripe podcast. In this podcast, you'll learn how to grow member-based organizations. I am Farhad Khan. I am the CEO of Gripe Digital. We build membership websites for professional associations. And if you want to learn how a membership website can help grow your association membership, please join one of our learning events on our website. We host a number of learning events throughout the month, and you can find them at gripe.ca/events. Again, that is grype.ca/events. This is a live recording of our podcast episode. If you're joining us live today, welcome. We already got some amazing questions from the audience for this episode, but if you have any more questions during the episode, please submit them on the chat window on the right, and we will get to them as soon as we can. Today, we are excited to have Tony Russell with us. Tony is the Senior Vice President of Marketing General Incorporated. Tony is a membership marketing guru, and he also wrote a book on membership marketing, which we will hear about today. Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your work?
I sure can. Thanks. It's wonderful to be with you today, and thank you for your service to the association community with these podcasts. I'm sure it's really helpful for a lot of people. Yeah, I'm a vice president with Marketing General. Been there for 3 decades now. And, the basic goal of our organization is to help organizations get new members and keep the members they have. The purpose of it, though, is deeper than just getting bodies in and bodies out. We really believe that members really help an organization accomplish their mission. Members provide the content, members provide the networking opportunities, members provide the revenue, and so it's a critical function for associations. So getting and keeping members is really what I try to do for our clients.
Wonderful. Tony, you have a great book on membership marketing. So do you want to talk briefly about that? We'll dive deeper, but if you want to give us a general overview.
Sure. And one of the things I really appreciate is you've actually read it, which is which I get to do chats with a number of people, and in many cases they haven't read it. So thank you so much. That's very generous of you. I've been doing this, as I said, for 3 decades. And I've hopefully learned a lot. One of the things we'll talk about a little bit later is our benchmarking research, which we've done for 13 years. And we've gathered a lot of information from that. And I've worked with some really great people and some really great associations. So my thought behind the book is really it's sort of a give back to the community. I've learned a lot. People have shared a lot with me. And I wanted to share what I've learned. One of the things I was conscious of doing in the acknowledgments was just highlighting the people who have really helped me along the way and shared their knowledge with me. And so I'm just trying to share that knowledge back with others.
Wonderful. So since we're a technology company, we work with a lot of other tech companies as well. We are seeing a trend nowadays that all the tech companies are moving towards a recurring revenue model and then like subscriptions and memberships. And I kind of find that associations are sitting on a gold mine with a loyal membership that they're not always using as much. So why do so many associations struggle with their membership, you think?
It's a great question. You're absolutely right as far as the concept of membership is a powerful concept. There's a book out by Robbie Kellen-Baxter called The Membership Economy. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but she makes the case that every company should have a membership. So sometimes I hear some associations saying, oh, membership's not working for us or there's problems. Typically, the 2 fundamental problems I see with that are, number one, a lot of associations have the challenge of what I call paralysis of analysis. So they spend so much time thinking about membership. What should we do? How do we accommodate the bylaws? Will our IT structure function properly? A lot of folks have problems with their website, and so they're afraid their website isn't functional enough to support a membership program. So that's one challenge. It's that analysis that takes place and really delays the implementation of a membership program. The other challenge I see that holds back membership is sometimes a board or a CEO will want to grow membership and they'll set a goal. Like I've heard a goal like this, by 2025, we want 2,500 members. What happens sometimes though is they don't fund it. They don't have the staff to support it. They don't provide the resources. So a year or two will go by and they say, well, membership hasn't grown. And why is it? And I'll say, they'll call me in to consult and I'll say, well, did you increase your budget? No. Did you help your staff? Did you add additional staff to support it? No. Did you provide them training, resources, consultants? No. Well, then that's not going to work. So having an aspirational goal without supporting it a lot of times is the second reason that associations really struggle with membership.
So what you're saying is that like taking action is, I think, like way more important than the analysis part. Is it?
I really do think that's the case. One of the things that, and we'll go into more depth of some of the concepts in the book that lay out how to develop and build a membership program. But there is something to be said about what I call ready, fire, aim. Basically doing something, getting something out there and measuring the opportunity in your perspective with your prospects instead of thinking about it and delaying action. So certainly that's one approach that you should take.
Wonderful. On your book, you mentioned the economic driver of member marketing, and I find that like that is a very powerful concept, and this is something that we use all the time for our clients as well. So any project we take on, we tell our clients that unless you're able to like see a valid path to a financial return, you should not be investing in this technology. And you talk about the exact same thing on the book. Can you share a bit more about it?
Yeah, I can. So membership, unlike any other product probably most associations offer, is a continuity product. In our benchmarking work, we see about the average renewal rate for an individual membership association is about 80%. And that's been pretty consistent over the years. For a trade association, it's up to 85, 88%. So unlike most products that an association offers, you're going to see a revenue stream. You have an annuity value tied to that member. We did a study for a group a number of years ago because they were considering, do we sell products? Do we sell membership? Where do we focus? Where do we fund things? And what we found was when we did data analytics, we found that on their product sales, conference, webinars, books, et cetera, they had about a 7% renewal rate on customers. So in other words, 93% of the customers did not come back the next year. On the membership side, they were running about an 80% renewal rate. So that means they kept people for 5 years. It's really hard to backfill 93% of your business every single year. If you're getting an 80% renewal rate, you're keeping people for 5 years, and you're building a wonderful lifetime value stream. So you take the dues, if your dues are $250, and multiply that by keeping people for 5 years, you're looking at $1,250 of revenue. On top of that, almost in every case, members are your best customers. So you have that dues stream, but then you have additional sales of attendance, purchases, donations, et cetera. So recognizing that lifetime value is a really important tool, not only because it makes economic sense for the association, but it's also really important in making the case to a board or to a CEO that membership is where you should fund. You should fund membership because you're buying the future of your association, an income stream for the future of your association.
Right, and investing on membership renewal is actually ends up in a snowball effect because it's much easier to sell to your existing members than to a brand new prospect who has never heard from you before.
Yeah. Now you have to put people in the top of the funnel to have those existing members, so that is expensive. But when you look at saying, okay, I'm going to get 5 years of dues out of this new member, how much can I invest to spend to get that new member? It's certainly worthwhile and makes a lot of sense. It's interesting because it's hard to move your renewal rate. Renewal rates, and like I said in our benchmarking research, have been pretty steady over the last decade or so. So it's hard to move that renewal rate unless you have a really bad program. But the driver and the correlation for growth is getting those new members to join.
Right. And you also talk about the value proposition, like the power of a strong message and like why should a prospect join? Can you talk a bit about it?
Yes. In our benchmarking research, one of the most discouraging things I see is we ask association executives, um, do you have a compelling, how strong is your value proposition? And fascinating, only 13% of associations say I have a very compelling value proposition. That's really discouraging. If a company said, you know, if 87% of companies said I don't have a strong value proposition, we'd have some big problems economically. I give associations a little bit of a pass on this though, because if the average renewal rate's 80%, people are finding value. Members are finding value. If it's a company or an individual, they're finding value with the association. I think the disconnect often is the association hasn't fully understood what value they're delivering. And one of the things we strongly recommend is to understand that is research. You need to be able to understand what your members are getting and why they value you, and then be able to articulate that to prospects. And that 13% rate of a compelling value proposition is discouraging. But I think the discouraging piece of it is that people simply haven't dug down in research to understand the value they're delivering. People don't spend money year after year after year if they're not getting value. There's value there. It's just that you're not communicating it, whether it's your website not communicating it, whether it's your promotional materials not communicating it. But the fundamental thing is you don't understand it yourself. And I think that's something that is a challenge for associations.
And I guess not having a strong value proposition is kind of like a challenge to get new members. Like existing members are getting value, they know that, right? But prospects don't know what you're really selling. Like what will they actually get like for the money that they're paying for. So I think for the new prospects, the value proposition is very, very important.
It is, and it's there because people are giving you money every year. It's just that you don't know how to message it accurately to make that compelling case to prospective members.
Do you have a formula to actually make it more compelling?
Well, we do, ideally what we do with many groups to help them uncover that is we do qualitative research, we do online bulletin board focus groups, which gives people the open-ended opportunity, lapsed members, current members, prospective members, to share what they're looking for and what they've received. And then we validate that with quantitative research. So that's certainly one tool. In the book, I also do an exercise that you can do without research of going through the membership benefits and moving from a feature, which is like we have a magazine, we have a newsletter, to talking about a benefit, to talking about a solution. So those three stages. Okay, we have a magazine. The benefit is it keeps you up to date on the industry. The solution is it strengthens your opportunity to get raises, to do better in your job, to serve people better, to serve patients better. And so that three-step process is something that we look at to help people understand that value proposition.
Right. And do you look at the problems that the members are coming here to solve?
Ideally, yeah. That's that solution orientation. What problems do they have, and how are we servicing them to accomplish those? One of the groups we've worked with for the last decade is the American Nurses Association. And there were not a lot of groups grew during COVID, but they grew substantially. But they were doing regular webinars for their members to say how do you stay safe? How do you serve your patients? How do you psychologically deal with what's going on? By providing solutions to real tangible problems, they saw the best membership year they'd ever had.
Right. So I guess finding out what problems you're trying to solve and then like actually having a tangible solution and then communicating that solution to your prospect as well is very, very important.
It's critical. And again, the thing I'll underline is surprisingly, your members are finding solutions. You're simply not understanding them and recognizing them. And so I'd love to see that 13% number for people who feel they have a strong, compelling value proposition go up to 50%, 60%, 80%, because a lot of it's there. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to communicate the benefits of the wheel.
All right. So let's go deeper. You talk about creating member recruitment programs. Can you tell us, like, if I am an association with, say, a limited budget, I have some budget, not too much, and I have some staff time, how would I go about creating a program?
So great question. In the book, I talk about the five pillars of or five foundations of a strong membership program, and I'll just briefly just highlight them, and then if people want a deeper dive, they certainly can read the book. But number one is your target audience. Identifying who are the top prospective members is really important, and every market is sort of you can imagine sort of a pyramid or triangle. Your most likely prospects are at the top, and then you work your way down from there. So in almost all cases, your lapsed members, your former members, are your best prospects to come back. They know who you are. And one thing we observed during COVID was a lot of companies and individuals lapsed their membership, not because they didn't see value. They lapsed their membership because they were in sort of financial panic. It was a panic lapse, not a value lapse. So going back to those folks is certainly a first step that you can certainly take, using email, phone, digital marketing, those kinds of things. Number two is an offer. If you go to any company's website, or you go to you get any marketing from a for-profit company, there's very often a sale. They're saying, hey, come in and save money. Your store will give you a discount or give you coupons. Offers are really important, and companies don't do that because they like giving away money. Companies do that because it grows their customers, grows their sales. And I think there's a hesitancy sometimes in associations to offer a deal. 15 months for the price of 12, 10% off a membership, a free hat, a free t-shirt, whatever it might be. People can join 24/7 on a website. And so they know that's always available. So having an incentive to people makes a big difference.
So this really creates the urgency, right?
It does, exactly. It does. It makes it. There's a lot of people on the fence about joining, and they want to get around to it someday. But having some kind of incentive gives them the reason to do it now. I get pushback on that, but the fact is, it works. So then your multiple, marketing channels. We're seeing huge success with digital marketing, driving people to the website to sign up. So, a lot of the platforms, that's Main Street. Your website's not Main Street. So you need a piece to get them to come to your website for free content, to buy something, to sign up. Messaging is really important. We talked about that with value proposition. But here's the thing that I think probably most associations miss, and that is testing and analyzing the results they do. So, in an email, you can do what's called a 10-10-80 split. You can send out 10% of your emails with one subject line or copy, another with another subject line or copy, see what the open rate is, see what the click-through rate is, and then whichever does best, send the 80% out to that. So testing is a function that I think is critical, and if you're not using a testing strategy, you're sub-optimizing your marketing. So those are the five foundations of really successful recruitment marketing, and it's like I said in the book, I go through pretty deep detail on each of them.
Right. So I want to backtrack into the offer and then the content that you're putting out in the social media or maybe in your marketing channels. Do you have any thought on what type of content we should put out that will bring people back to the website?
Yeah. So again, it goes back to that solution orientation. One of the clients we work with, the Certified Financial Planning Board, wants to encourage people to go into the field of financial planning and wants to encourage them to become certified. So one of the things that we've worked with them on is creating a guide to careers in financial planning. And so we'd use digital advertising for that. You go to the website, you enter your information in order to download the guide. But who doesn't want to know about how to advance your career and to succeed in your career? And once you have that contact information, that opt-in, it's trading content for contact. Once you have that, you have the right to continue to contact that person, to continue to interact with that person, understand their needs, provide solutions to them. So content marketing certainly works. Sometimes people are ready to sign on the dotted line right away for certain things. And so just driving them to the website and saying, hey, you used to be a member, love to have you back. We're offering a 10% discount. Click here and go ahead and do the transaction. So So those are some of the elements, but it goes back to something you said earlier on. I think was insightful. Is providing solutions to people, and every industry, every profession is going to have different solutions that people need.
Hmm.
But that's what drives people to take action.
Right, right. So, Tony, you talked about publishing a guide. Are there other examples of similar content that people can potentially use, or any like a formula that people can use to put out or create the content?
One of the blessings for an association is they are content machines. I mean, they do webinars. You can offer a free webinar to people.
Hmm.
Um, for a client recently, we basically created a content piece with taking the best articles from their magazine from the last year, putting it into a PDF bundle, and saying, "Hey, join now, and we'll give you the best of 2021." Um, so so there's all sorts of things you can do with that, and as you know, on a website, for instance, SEO is really important. So having some content available on your website, then Google will drive you to the website also. So there's lots of different ways that can be put in place. But associations they're content producing machines. They have it all there. It's just packaging it and getting it out in front of their members.
It's funny you mentioned that because this happened with one of our clients and they already had a great webinar going with their membership. So I asked them like, why are you not opening it up to like some prospects? Like
Yeah.
give the prospects, give each email one free webinar, and then like there you have like those prospects like in your email list as like future members. So what you're saying actually works, actually works.
Hey, don't get into my marketing role here.
No, for sure, for sure. We're a tech company. We'll stick to our tech.
Yeah, I'm kidding you, but yeah, again, during the pandemic, our client, American Nurse Association, was getting 150,000 people from all over the world attending their webinars,
Wow.
and many of them weren't members, uh, but all those people became then prospects for membership, for certification, for other things. So you're absolutely right. That's a huge opportunity and huge driver for folks.
Right. Another thing I find that is very important is if you actually have a marketing campaign or a program, a recruitment program, like it has to be more organic and something that you can sustain over a longer period of time. So,
Mm-hmm.
so for example, like what worked with this particular client of ours is that they had like one webinar for members and we opened up part of it to prospects. So it is an
Mm-hmm.
organic thing. It was happening anyways, right? And we piggybacked on top of that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, when we're looking at incentives and content, we're not saying produce something brand new. In some cases, like the Guide to Financial Planning Careers was brand new, but in general, again, there's content there available that you can repackage and use to attract people.
Right. Now, running any of these programs actually like take time and resources. And the pushback that we often hear from associations is that we can get buy-in from our management, right? So do you have
Yeah.
any tips on how to get the buy-in?
Well, yeah, that is a challenge, and um, I could go on, quite a while on this one. But there's a couple tools that are really helpful. I mentioned lifetime value, and that's a way to convince people you can show ROI. There's another formula that's really important, and I think ideally membership people should be fluent in it, and it's called steady state analysis.
Hmm.
You can if you know your lapse rate and you know your new member input, you can calculate where your membership is headed. And I've used that very effectively because I'll walk into a group and their membership might be going down incrementally, and they say, "Oh, it's just going down a little bit. It's not a problem." When you run a steady state analysis, you basically can show them where they're going ultimately if they don't make a change. And so I've seen groups say, "Well, we have 20,000 members," and I'll say, "Well, yeah, but look, you're going to be at 9,200, and that's where you're headed. What financial implications does that have for your organization? What mission issues does it have? What advocacy issues does it have?" And when they see that where they're headed, it can be a big issue. Steady state, and the formula's in the book, but steady state is kind of like weight loss and weight gain. If you bring in a certain amount of calories and you burn a certain amount of calories and you hold those steady, at some point you're going to come to an equilibrium weight. If you increase the calories and decrease the burn, you're going to gain weight, and vice versa. So steady state is basically shows you what weight you're headed to. And in many cases, it's shocking that people will say, we're headed in a direction I don't want to be. And when a board sees that, it can be very empowering to incentivize change.
So we have to show a projection of like where we're headed, and then the fact that we have to take action now.
Yes, exactly. That can be a powerful tool. The other thing that I think is important to note, though, too, is that people get discouraged. They don't think membership works in some cases. And as I mentioned, we've done 13 years with our benchmarking study. And in 11 out of those 13 years, many more organizations saw their membership grow than decline. The only 2 years that didn't take place was 2008, 2009 with the Great Recession, and then with COVID in 2020. But our benchmarking report's going to come out in the next month or so, and we're seeing, again, more associations are seeing the membership is growing than declining. So we've seen a rebound that's very encouraging, and so membership does work, and you can grow membership by making that case is important.
Right. And I guess like for getting the buy-in from management, it's also very important to actually like show the economic driver, right? That if you are putting in this amount of like investment in terms of like time or money or whatever, this is the return that you can potentially get. And if you show the lifetime value, that is gold.
You're absolutely right. It's interesting. We did work for a group here recently, and they had a goal of adding 100 members. Okay. So we sort of use that ready, fire, aim mindset. We've proven what works over the years. We've been doing this as a company for 40 years. We know what works, what doesn't work. And so we put a program in place for them. And then we did a match back. So you take the new members who joined, matched against the prospects you were reaching out to. And we came in after 3 months, had 263 members join. So that ready, fire, aim mindset is helpful, is give it a try and run a solid program for a period of time, and then check and see, did it work? And then that group says, okay, now we're going to go do an ongoing program because the test program did so well. So sometimes you need to do that short-term project, that ready, fire, aim project, to get people to understand that membership growth is possible.
Right. I like the idea of running a pilot before actually going all in with an ongoing program. Now, when you're doing a pilot, like, would you do a pilot with like one program only, or would you maybe like run 2 or 3 in parallel to find out what works more?
Yeah. So you always want to have tests in that. So you may want to test messages, you may want to test offers, you may want to test different things. I'm a big believer in what we call omni-channel marketing. So in an ideal situation, if you have the budget for it, you're going to use digital marketing, you're going to use email, you're going to use perhaps some direct mail with top prospects. You might use some phone calls. And again, it's that pyramid. So you start with the most likely prospects and spend the money on them, and then trickle that down over time. One of the things we've observed is people who are siloed into a single channel like email, ultimately you're going to have a problem because you're going to burn your list out. You can only send so many emails and get so many no's, and so you're going to be in trouble. Other people who've relied on conferences really had a hard time during COVID, because if the conference was the main driver and they canceled it, there was an issue. So in a perfect world, you're going to want to look at multiple channels to reach people, and use the most expensive channels on the most likely people to sign up. So recent lapses, and then rely on digital for maybe inquirers or so you layer those channels on top of each other, but you take channels away from the less responsive segments of your prospects.
Right. And just to break it down for our audience, I guess like what we are saying is if you are using webinar as a key channel, then when you have a webinar, push it out onto like all your social media platforms, into your email list, like do an omni-channel marketing, finding out like which channels are working better, which are not, and then double down on the ones that are working better.
Exactly. And that requires tracking. So seeing where people are coming from is also really helpful.
Right. Okay, sounds good. Now, in your experience running many recruitment campaigns and programs in the past, what has worked the best for you?
So it goes back to those foundational five pieces. One piece, the first step I think that's really important for organizations to think through is that target market and building a prospect database of potential clients, potential members, potential customers. And so then you know who you're going to. You can track those returns and you can start building relationships with those. So if it's a company you're trying to sign up, having that database, going to a database company, getting the names of those companies, appending the C-level suite people, appending email addresses, appending phone numbers, and start that engagement, start that conversation with them with the goal of getting a meeting or a phone call, understanding their needs, and then converting them to membership. So the number one thing is having that right target market, thinking creatively about those incentives, thinking creatively about the channels you're going to use, understanding the concept of testing, and taking that research we talked to you about earlier about solutions that you can deliver, and then using that in your messaging. So those are the foundations of really successful programs. Now, there's a lot of things people do wrong. I'm actually speaking at ASAE in May at the American Society of Association Executives, and I'm talking about the 7 deadly sins of membership marketing. So, and we sort of referenced some of them, but one of them is that paralysis of analysis. Others are not having an incentive. Others are not going to the target market, your best target market. So there's an inverse of each of those 5 foundations.
I think I saw this question from the audience as well. Like, where do you find your target market?
That is a good question. One of the things that's changed a lot in the marketing over the last number of years is there are now databases out there that know everything about everybody. And I don't know in Canada all the laws for that, but in the US, you can say, hey, I'm trying to reach people in this SIC code. I'm trying to reach people in this profession. And you can lease and get a database of those prospects. And you can start interacting with them and start building a relationship with them. So we'll talk, if we have time today, we'll talk about the membership life cycle, which is a structural way to diagnose your membership issues. But a starting point is what I call mutual awareness. You want share of mind, so you want people to, just like Coke or Pepsi, you want people to think of you when they have an issue or need a solution. But you also need share of database. You need to have a knowledge of how to reach those people and a way to interact with those people. And so that mutual awareness is critical. So getting people in your database, and one of the ways is content offers, like you talked about, your webinar idea, is getting prospects. You can use social media, you can use digital ads, you can get them to say, yeah, I'll participate in your webinar. Get them into your database, start engaging them, start building a relationship, asking them to join, asking them to participate. So that's an important starting point, and you can access your market from third-party databases and start to build that relationship.
Right. Now, you touched on the membership lifecycle. Can we talk about that in brief? Sure.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief on it. But so as we look at, one of the things that people are challenged with is diagnosing what's wrong with my membership. It's not where I want it to be. It's stagnant or declining. And so the tool we recommend people look at for that is what we call the membership life cycle. And as we've worked with membership organizations, we've seen 5 basic steps or stages in the membership relationship. One is awareness. If people don't know who you are and you don't know who they are, it's very hard to reach them. 2 is recruitment. Membership is what we call a push product, and marketers look at products as either being pull or push. So the new technology gadget that comes out, people line up at the store to get it. Most of the people watching this do not have a line of people at their association saying, I got to join. So recruitment is a proactive activity, not a passive activity. So that's step 2. You need to invite people. Step 3 is engagement. Once someone joins, those first-year members, you're most likely people to lapse. So you need to demonstrate relevance. You need to get them engaged in using the products and services you have. And that means not only for first year members, but all members. Engaging them is critical. Next is renewal. You know, when you have political campaigns, people just don't send out one email and say, okay, they're going to vote for me. I don't have to worry about it. They have multiple interactions. And the same is really required with renewal. You need the time when you can send out one email or one renewal notice is over. There needs to be more interactions. And the last piece of that is reinstatement of this life cycle. There's always bumps in the road for any relationship, and that includes members. And so trying to fix it and bring that person back is a lot economically and a lot more beneficial than going out to get a brand new person. So those are the 5 stages that are really important. I will say in all of our benchmarking research, the strongest correlation to growth for an association is that recruitment piece. You're going to keep, if you serve members well, unless you have a terrible, value proposition or bad renewal program, you're going to keep your members. The lever for growth is putting new people into the funnel, is that recruitment piece.
Right. And for the lapsed members, we have often noticed that certain members are not worth chasing after, and then it's better to sunset those memberships, and then so that we can focus more on the people who are more likely to convert. So do you have a process of sunsetting memberships or not, finding out who are not the right prospects?
I still, in some cases we go back to former members 4 years. So part of it is tracking your response. So if you can divide up your members by year lapsed and send out an email and see how far back you can go and still get a decent ROI on those people. People who don't like you are going to opt out, so they're not going to be in your emails. If you call them, they're going to say, "Don't call me again." You'll take them out of that. So people can always opt out, but I still find, and especially over the last couple of years, where, as I mentioned, people lapsed not for value issues, they lapsed for cash flow issues. It still makes sense to go back to them. In the best circumstances, you're going to get a 1% response rate on a marketing piece. So that means 99% of people are going to say no on a recruitment piece. If you eliminate all those people who said no one time, you're not going to have a very big prospect base. So I think people in many cases will self-select to not continue a relationship. Clearly, you're not going to get on a jet and fly to Vancouver to meet with a former member who's been gone for 4 years. But an email, a phone call, digital ad is not going to run huge sums of money, and I'd still stay in contact with those people. One thing we find with groups that also have certifications, one group, people recertify every 3 years. What people tend to do is they lapse, stay away for 2 years, and then in the 3rd year come back because they need continuing education and the discounts and the discounted certification, so they come back. So staying in touch with people still makes a lot of sense.
Right. Okay, so since we build membership websites, Tony, what do you think is the role of a membership website for your membership growth?
It's foundational. It's critical. You can do all the marketing you want, but 90% of the people who join are going to come through the website. So you need to direct them to a page that is compelling. That lays out those benefits and solutions. You need to have a wonderful interface so that as people go through the process, they're not having to go to 10 different pages to join. That there's an easy, clean process to go through in the join process. I still see associations that have PDFs on their website for people to join, which doesn't work. Here's another interesting thing. We had a client that redid their website, and I'm sure your company would not do this, but they redid their website and they took the join button off the front page of the website.
Oh my God.
And immediately the new member counts plummeted. And they were searching, what happened? What's wrong? Is the website not working? What happened? And one of my colleagues said, I think you should put the join button back on the front page of your website. And they did, and all of a sudden membership went back up again. So there's basic things that people make these mistakes. the vast majority of people are going to join through your website, and making that process clean, simple, and appropriate is a foundation for good membership success.
Yeah, and also what we find is that for members who have already joined, you mentioned like the first year members are the ones to actually are most likely to lapse. So in the first year,
Yes.
if they actually join the website, and then if there's a membership website where they can log in and get all the benefits and everything all in one place, like if we give them like a frictionless experience with the association
Yeah.
where you can actually get all the services very easily, then they're much less likely to kind of like drop off after the first year.
You're absolutely right. Interaction, as I said, demonstrating relevance is fundamental. You need to show that there's stuff there that helps them. But interaction, we see a clear correlation between the number of interactions a member has with the association and the likelihood to renew. So you're absolutely right on that. One of the other things that we found very helpful is to put retargeting on a website too. If you have a conference coming up, people will go to the conference page and say, when is it? Can I afford it? Can I get off of work? How much are the hotels, et cetera? And then they'll leave. Having retargeting there that continues to stay in front of them and bring them back to the website is also a powerful tool.
Right.
And that works for membership also.
Makes sense. Tony, another approach that we have when we're building membership websites, so we have the public website for the association that actually caters to like the broader audience, their stakeholders, the rest of the world, the prospects, right? And then we have this members only area, which is only for
Right.
members. So whenever a member has signed up, the members only area gives him all the benefits and services all in one place. So what are your thoughts on this approach?
That's the key question that is highly debated with every association. And clearly, if you're opening up everything to everybody, people then question, why should I spend any money? Because I'm getting everything for free. And there are a lot of freeloaders out there who don't want to spend the money and do that. I do think, though, that pulling specific pieces of content out and using it as a content offer can make sense. So some of our clients do salary surveys, for instance, for their field. That's a powerful tool, and you can show all of it or you can show some of it, but it's a powerful tool to say, hey, are you making as much as the market average or not? So that's really powerful. The yearbook I mentioned, taking previous articles and offering those as a content piece, having some webinars that are open, to people to attend. So there's a balance there, but I am an advocate that you still have to maintain value, and if everybody can see everything, they're going to be less inclined to give you money.
Right. Okay, sounds good. Now, you do an annual benchmarking for membership marketing. So in your benchmarking, like what have you seen? Like, has there been like a serious impact of COVID-19 on association membership, and like which direction are we going?
It's a great question. I have the 2021 here at my desk. In 2021, only 26% of associations reported their membership grew. That was only the second time in 13 years. And you read some of the comments and things, and it's pretty discouraging. And that can be downloaded. We have all 13 years on our website, so people can download that. We're just getting the data in now for the 2022 report, and I'm pleased to say that we are seeing a rebound. We're seeing more associations saying their membership is growing than declining. So we're seeing a good rebound there. Here's the interesting thing on that document. I encourage the folks to take a look at it. What we do is we ask associations every year what they do in membership. And then we ask them what the outcomes are. Is your membership going up or down? Your renewal rate up or down? New member count up or down? And then what we do is we basically cross-tabulate those things so that we can look and say, what correlates with groups that are seeing improvements in renewals and in engagement and recruitment? And we can then outline best practices. So we're really coming to people with here's from 800 associations, here's what seems to be working and what's not working and what's driving membership. So it's a study I love doing. I've done it for 13 years now. It's one of my favorite projects every year, but it's 80 pages of detailed information on what's working and what's not working in the area of membership.
Right. I took a look at the free version of that and I found it like fascinating.
They're all free. You just got to give us. It's a content piece. You just got to give us your name and email, and you can download all 13 years if you want.
Alrighty. So, Tony, where can we find it? Can you share the link with us later on, or maybe like tell us?
Sure. It's at marketinggeneral.com is the website, and just go under Knowledge Bank, and you'll see it there. We just also published our economic outlook survey results, and that was asking people earlier or late in 2021, how do you think 2022 is going to go? And again, very positive figures. People are very optimistic about their membership, their meetings, their finances going into 2022. So we are seeing a good rebound. So all those resources are available on our website. And I post things about it. So, I'm on Twitter at Tony Rossell. People are welcome to, you just go to my Twitter, and you can usually find links to all the things we publish.
All right. So since you have been doing this benchmarking for a long time, like, are you seeing any like major trends showing up?
Yes, very much so. We're seeing a major move to digital. So webinars over in-person sessions, online community, the importance of that. The way that people used to connect, it used to be, in-person meetings, at, chapter meetings or volunteering or buying books. Those are all diminishing. People are going to want to interact online, and so the website becomes much more important because that's the way that people are connecting. So, like I said, we're seeing a lot of growth in participation. One of the questions we ask in the benchmarking report is where's participation growing? It's growing in webinars. It's growing in online networking. It's growing in resources on the website. That's where people are finding that. And part of it is with, there's two sides of that. One is that's just where the world's going overall, but also people haven't been traveling and haven't been in the office as much, so they're going to the website for what they need.
I see a question from Ronia on chat. Does the data change from year to year? I think we already answered that.
It does. And one of the things we look at is trend analysis, and that was particularly the case in this economic outlook report that we did. We've seen we've done that one we only done for 3 years, but we're seeing from a couple of years ago pessimism to real optimism, and that's an encouraging sign for associations.
All right. So at this point, I want to jump into some audience questions. We received some wonderful questions from the audience already. I'll start with Catherine Brandt. Catherine is asking, how do I find out where potential members hang out? So there's as I mentioned, there's databases out there, and you can you can purchase or lease names to move into your database. Clearly, your lapsed members are good prospects. You also can rent email addresses or mailing addresses and names of prospects. So if there's a leading magazine in your field, asking them, can you send out an email for me, or can I rent your mailing list and mail people, certainly is another opportunity. And then they're going to what we call list brokers. There are companies out there that basically their job is to help you find lists. They do it for free for the end user. You have to pay for the list, but you don't have to pay a commission. The owner of that list pays the commission to the list manager. So finding a good list manager who can then do research for you and come back to you with, here are some email lists, here are some mailing lists, here are some calling lists that you can rent and use, makes sense. You always want to find, basically what you want to do is find people who have done the same action that you want them to do. So if they've joined a competing organization or a similar organization, that would be a good list. If they're subscribed to a magazine in your field, that would be a good list. If they've attended a meeting, that would be a good list. The other thing I'll mention is the power of digital marketing, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Facebook or whether it's AdRoll or Google. Having good search engine marketing with Google, so people are searching for something for content or information. You pop up
they come to your website. Facebook has things called custom audiences and lookalike audiences, so you can upload your membership file and say, I want to show ads to people who look just like my members. Facebook uses their algorithms to identify people who look like them. You show them an ad to say, here, get some free content, or come to a webinar, or join our association. LinkedIn has powerful segmentation opportunities, so by profession, by geography, by school. So those are some of the different methods you can find to reach people. But they're out there, and for success, you've got to reach people beyond the walls of your organization. And those are some of the techniques to find where potential members are.
Alrighty. Next question is from Mariana Versiani. Mariana, I think we chatted once earlier. So Mariana is asking how to get the buy-in from decision makers in your organization when making an investment in IT or marketing.
So I'll go back to that ready, fire, aim concept of with whatever limited budget you have, try something and demonstrate that you can actually achieve results. Talking about lifetime value, that if you're spending money on a product or service that's not going to be renewable, share with them, hey, membership is renewable. We're going to keep those people for years, would be the case. Highlighting our benchmarking report and saying, look, more associations are growing than declining. We should be part of that growth team, would certainly be important. Highlighting that corporations are flocking to the membership concept, and trying, whether it's Amazon Prime or whatever, they're trying to encourage people to be members. It works. That relationship is a powerful relationship. So those are some of the things that I'd highlight in making the case for membership.
All right. Randy Sageman is asking, beyond financial benefits of membership, how best to sell the less tangible benefits of your association?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that going through that process internally with your organization of laying out, here's all the things we give people. We give them a magazine, a newsletter, discounts, insurance, and then really working as a team to translate those features into how does that help somebody and how does it meet a need, I think are the important parts. So we've sort of covered that, but again, there's value that is it Randy, you said? There's value, Randy, in what you're providing. Members are staying with you. You need to understand from those members how you're making a difference in their companies, in their individual lives, in their professions, and then translate that and share that with your prospective members.
Wonderful. Erin Warner is asking, how do we grab the attention of our prospects when there is already so much noise out there, emails, newsletters, events, etc.?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and that's why I sort of referenced even on renewals, thinking about the political campaign instead of the one-off type touch. You're right. There's huge distractions, and I don't have a great solution to it. I will say that thinking again that omni-channel approach, so that if you're just relying on email, you're right. They may be getting 100 emails a day, and they're not going to look at your email. But when they're looking at their grandkids on Facebook, and you have an ad on Facebook that they can click on, then that might work. So you need to think through, where are the touch points that I can get someone's attention and do that. It's interesting. One of the things that we found hugely successful over the last couple of years is telemarketing or phone calls. I'm getting calls all the time now because I have my phone at work forwarded to my cell phone. And so it shows up that if someone's calling from my office, I've got to pick up the phone. And, sometimes it's a prospective client and I want to talk to them. Sometimes it's someone who wants to sell me something that I don't want. But at least I'm getting the attention. And if the association has some share of mind and has delivered value in the past, I think that those phone calls will be productive and useful.
Next question is from Laura Nelson. Laura is asking, does membership recruitment require different tactics for Gen Z as opposed to older age cohorts?
That's another good question. I do think that one of the reasons we're seeing digital marketing doing so well is because Gen Z people are glued to their
Yeah.
devices. And so Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, maybe Facebook not as much as it used to be, LinkedIn, people are on focused on screens. And so we are, if you see a diminishment in email to those people, it's not surprising, but the screen is the opportunity. Here's another interesting thing. And we found this, I mentioned this in my book, and we've seen this in some research. Actually, younger folks like getting mail. It's like I was talking to a client one time, and she said, "Oh yeah, I got some mail today. It's really good. I never get mail." So there's some opportunity to think through sending a letter to somebody and saying, "Hey, we'd love you to be part of our organization. Come to our website and sign up." Still works. So thinking in terms of those multiple ways of and seeing what works, testing to see where that touch point is that gets past all of the static is something to think through.
Bill Alder is asking, how fluid are your recruitment campaigns? Where do you often do a lot of A/B testing, or is it one step at a time?
Everything. If I have an account manager who doesn't have an A/B test in their marketing plan, I tell them to go back to the drawing board. A test will generate something will win and something will lose. And if you're doing the ones that loses, you're sub-optimizing your program. We see tests, do 50, 100% sometimes difference in response. Just the landing page. We test landing pages sometimes. Just the landing page will influence that. Your subject line, your messaging, your offers. So it needs to be part of your culture to think in terms of testing in any marketing you're doing. And the bigger the test, the more likely you are to see a big difference in response. So it's nice to change a few words in an email, but using an incentive and not using an incentive, or trying a different list or different segment of prospects. Those are some big tests that'll make a difference.
Wonderful. Katie Kind is asking, can I use training opportunities to bring in new members?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that my reference to the American Nurses Association with their webinars is an example of that. And I'm sure ANA didn't want to do this, but I'm sure that they could have charged for those webinars, and they still would have gotten huge attendance. Their thought was to serve nurses and to build relationships and build prospects. But training conferences are certainly avenues where someone's seeing the relevance and seeing the content that you have, and it can be very convincing then for them to say, yeah, well, this group has stuff I need. I'm going to go ahead and join.
Right. Tony, we got some amazing questions. Do you mind if we go over time a little, maybe 5-10 minutes?
I'm happy to do so.
Wonderful. So the next question is from Andrew Goldsmith. So Andrew is asking, in the new digital world, how do we cut through the clutter and send our renewal messages out?
So a key thing of the renewals is frequency. And people will be shocked at this. We have one client where we were sending out 3 renewal notices in the mail, and then we added a 4th and we still got higher response. And we added a 5th and still got higher response, and added a 6th and still got higher response. So frequency is important. Multiple channels are important. We use on renewals, we do mail. If someone has not responded, we call them and ask them to renew. And a lot of times the message we get when we call, the person said, "Oh, I forgot to renew. You're right. Thanks for calling me." We certainly use email. We use custom audiences with upload each month. The non-renewals, people who are in the renewal series and not renewing, upload that into Facebook and show them reminders for that. Here's the basic thing on renewals that I think people forget is it's almost impossible to lose money on renewals. When you're doing any kind of marketing activity that ultimately gets an 80% response rate, which is the average response rate, the average renewal rate for an association, it's almost impossible to lose money. Nothing in life you do gets an 80% response rate. So my thought is keep on focusing on renewals until it's more costly to get someone to renew than it is to get someone to join. It's more important to keep people than lose people. So frequency is important. Multiple channels is important. I don't typically use special offers or incentives to renew because I don't want people to wait, till notice number 4 to renew because there's a discount. So I usually do full price on renewals.
Something we have tried and that has worked really well is that we collect payments through credit cards and then with an automatic renewal by default. So by default, they renew until the person cancels. So if they want to cancel, we give them a refund, but renew by default.
You're absolutely right. Either on monthly installment or on annual credit card renewals, you're going to see a 10-point higher renewal rate for people who have opted into that than for those who haven't. So if you're normally getting an 80% renewal rate overall, those credit card installments or annual credit card renewals will be running about a 90% renewal rate. So you're right on target with that.
Right. Ronnie has a quick question. For A/B testing emails, how much time do you let pass before you decide which one to use?
So if you're doing the 10-10-80, I would just at the most wait 2 days because you're really trying to measure open rates and click rates with that. You're not trying to monitor actual purchases. So you just want to make sure someone's eyeballs are on that and there's something there attractive enough to get them to click through. So I would say, send out 10% with one subject line, 10% with another subject line, see which one gets the highest open rate, and then follow up in the next day or two with the full 80% send.
Wonderful. Next question is from Patricia Spets. Patricia is asking, how do we align the membership and marketing arms if they're led by different people?
Invade the marketing people and take over their work. It is. I see that as an issue with a lot of associations, and really they should be synergistic. I would recommend that membership focus on the recruitment side of things and obviously the renewals, and then the marketing people focus on the engagement, the non-dues product sales. So in other words, I'd say the marketing people should probably spend less time going out to cold prospects or non-members and use membership as that missionary product, the way to introduce people to your association. And then the marketing people can focus on serving them and giving them new opportunities to engage more deeply with the association. That would be, in a perfect world, what I recommend. So the marketing people should be rejoicing as that membership file grows because they have more people to sell products and services to.
All right. Next question is from Christine Hagopian. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Christine. So Christine is asking, what are your top 3 most successful membership recruitment campaigns?
So I would say coordinated multiple channels really are what seems to work the best. So people might see an email briefly and not click on it. But the next day, if they get a mailing, they say, oh, this looks pretty good. I'm going to set that aside, maybe respond to it a little bit later. And then they see an ad on digital and they say, okay, I haven't put this off. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I think multiple channels are certainly an important way to stay in front of somebody. I think that another key piece is not to do what I call drip marketing, but so it's not send out one email in 1 month and then the next 3 months later send out another email and then maybe do a mailing it's 8 months later, but try to focus those so there's multiple touches at the same time. Now I still think you should be doing not just one campaign a year, but have 3, 4, 5 campaigns a year, but use all those channels together and not just drip them out one by one.
All right. Austin Large is asking, what is the recommended size of a membership team and what are the different roles people should play in the team?
That's another great question. If for a very large group, you could certainly build your team around the membership lifecycle. So you might want some people focused on building awareness and recruitment. You may want some people focused on engagement, and you may want some people focused on renewal. And then the reinstatement would flow back to the people doing the recruitment. It's interesting because one of the things we've observed in our benchmarking report is that organizations that have a specific detailed engagement program tend to we see a correlation with those people on higher renewal rates. So that engagement piece is really important. So theoretically, you could have one person on awareness recruitment, one person on engagement, one person on renewal. Many associations, that membership person's got to wear multiple hats. I think that what I'd say to them is, if you really want to grow your membership, you should spend the majority of your time on that recruitment piece, and then the marketing people or whatever can be engaged in working on engagement and selling products and services to people. And then once the renewal program is established, you can ideally keep that running unless you see a bump in the road or a decline or something going wrong. But recruitment is probably the heaviest area where you should spend your time.
Wonderful. Tony, I'll take the next 5 minutes to wrap up. So what would be your key takeaway for our audience today?
Membership works. Membership is a fundamental driver for an association to accomplish its mission, to sell products and services, to build recurring revenue. It's a critical function, and the data suggests and experience suggests that done properly, a membership can grow and will grow. So those are the key things. Don't give up on membership. Don't listen to the folks who say membership doesn't work. It is the driver for success for your association, and so take advantage of it. Learn what you can, and take action.
To wrap up, I have a personal question for you, Tony. Can you share a personal habit that has contributed the most to your success?
I'm a stress cadet, so if you have clients, in my role, we don't have a lot of things going wrong, but if anything goes wrong, it comes to my desk. So I do have some stress issues at times. I start out every day, and I've done this for decades. I started every day with prayer and Bible reading, actually, and that centers me. It empowers me and gives me strength for the day, and I'm able then to handle whatever comes my way. So that's for me my key for success is starting the day out, centering myself on important things, and not letting all the challenges and of the day overwhelm me.
Tony, I start my days with meditation as well. You cannot imagine how many people I talk to and they say that meditation is the key. So thank you for that.
It is.
Yeah. Alrighty. So how can people reach you if they have any more questions?
So you're welcome to email me. It's pretty simple, tony@marketinggeneral.com. I'm on Twitter at Tony Rossell. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm happy to do any follow-ups with folks that might be needed. And you're also welcome to buy the book. The book's on Amazon, so if you put in Tony Rossell membership recruitment, it should come up on Amazon. I think that hopefully you'll find it useful and helpful as you work on your membership program.
Alrighty. Tony, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed the conversation.
All right. That was the episode with Tony Rossell. As always, Tony gave us a lot to think about. And for those who are actually looking to drive your member recruitment, if you're looking to do something, this may be a lot of information to take in. So what I would encourage is that find the one item that you can take action on from this episode. Just one action, and then that will actually build onto the next thing. All right. Like I said earlier, we actually have a number of free learning events on our website. You can find them at gripe.ca/events. If you want to grow your professional association membership using the membership website or some other approaches, please join our learning events on our website. All right. We wish you all the best with your membership recruitment journey. Bye for now.